Right, welcome back. Continuing on with our discussion to the BRICS historical announcement of inviting 6 countries to join the group. We have with us over the phone Mrs. May Batran, economic expert. Good afternoon to you. Hello?
Good afternoon to you and to everybody.
Thank you so much indeed. And joining the BRICS inviting 6 more countries. BRICS already was a third of the world economy. Only 5 countries represent a third of the world community. Now by the joining of 6 more countries with 3 important Arab countries, what kind of sustainable partnership could this represent to the whole world?
First of all, the BRICS is an international cooperation for economic reasons and also for political and geopolitical clout and power. The BRICS started off in 2006. It started off with 4 countries. Then South Africa was added, and now with the addition of 6 more countries, geographically located, 1 in South America, which is Argentina, 2 in Africa, which is Egypt and Ethiopia, and 3 more in Asia, which is Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Iran. The political importance of such an international coalition of strategically, geographically located countries is extremely important at the time where there is a real disruptive change of the political dynamics of the world. And by mean disruptive, I mean it's an intrinsic change of realities of politics around the world. The world is shifting from a unipolar political force into a multipolar political force. And Egypt has a position of peace, of equilibrium, of management of the multipolar new era. The multipolar new era in a peaceful way. Yes. One point to take care of is that Antonio Guterres was there in the final sessions, and he said a word after the presidents of all the countries of the BRICS, and he maintained that this is an important step for the world, maintaining the international norms and accepted norms of and standards of peace and cooperation, which is extremely important as a vision for Egypt as well. Egypt is a country. Yes, please.
Yes. As you said respectively here, that the BRICS is a very strong bloc, and it has its own geopolitical influence and economic heavyweight. 3 Arab countries joining such a group. How would that reflect on 2 sides? The geopolitical scene from one side, because that also, as you said respectively, that the world need multipolar system in order to make a balance to the whole world needs. Second, on the economic side, what kind of influence could or what kind of ability to wane in the economy from its dependence and the dominance of other currencies, and what chances does this give to the joining countries?
At a time where the current Ukrainian-Russian crisis is taking place, and at a time where food security is a must, and in a country the size of Egypt and with the population of Egypt, and being Egypt, and I'll take Egypt as an example, Egypt is the largest importer of wheat in the world, and we also import rice. And the needing of the dollar for such imports into Egypt really puts an impact and a big impact on the Egyptian economy in terms of reining it in. But the fact that we're now part of the BRICS, we can assure and maintain the security of our strategic requirements for food for our people, and at the same time not depending on the dollar, because part of the economic relations among the BRIC countries is that they can sell and buy among them using their own local currencies. So we can buy from Russia with the ruble, and they would accept also the Egyptian pound. So this would lower the pressure on the dollar requirements for us here in Egypt. This is something that is to be looked at. Something that is also very important is that they will start amongst them, there will be a political group amongst the BRICS, and they are starting to look at a unified digital currency amongst BRICS countries. So this is something else that would have a direct impact on the economic situation in all of the BRICS countries and in our situation for Egypt. The third thing is that Egypt has partnered and has taken part into the new development bank of the BRICS. And that in itself will also help to finance infrastructure projects within the BRICS countries and within developing countries, because BRICS has a very particular emphasis and interest in developing countries, namely countries of Africa, and less fortunate countries from an economic standpoint. And as you know, Egypt, the construction, for example, sector in Egypt has had great experience and is also starting to expand in Africa. And this bank will help into the infrastructure financing, so it will help Egyptian companies grow and prosper within Africa. And this goes within our strategic objectives as a country as well. So, and finally, on that point, the economic impact is the technology transfer. And again, this is part of our own vision in Egypt and our own part of our own strategic plans for our future and for our country. So the BRICS countries have agreed to transfer technology amongst them, and we have seen the great Indian achievement by being the fourth country in the world reaching the moon 3 days ago. So this is giving chance for us and for other countries to cooperate amongst the BRICS countries now in transfer of know-how within such very high-end technologies. Also the transfer of technology and the common projects of infrastructure within the green economy, particularly after the success and the mandates after the COP27. And also the transfer of technology within the medical sector, which is also a great sector of advancement in India and in China and Russia. And of course, amongst the other military and non-military, all within an endorsement on peace, which is very important. And I will finalize by saying Egypt and its direction and the state of Egypt now is not looking for the short term only, and this has a short-term effect, a positive short-term effect on Egypt and medium term, but also the state of Egypt is looking for the long-term positive effects of such international cooperation and geopolitics and economic cooperation that would enhance and maintain hope, job opportunities, economic growth for the young people of Egypt and for a prosperous, well-integrated Egypt in a world of multipolarism, peace and prosperity, inshallah.
with God's will, and we all are filled with hopes, an excellent step, and hopefully forward ever. Mrs. Mail Batran, economic expert, thank you so much for your input and for being with us.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And I guess that takes us all to the end of this episode, but we're all filled with hopes, high hopes for the future, and many thanks for watching.